Good morning, children. Welcome to our science class. In today's class, we are going to study about types of animal movement. Now, what is locomotion and movement? We have already discussed in a previous class that locomotion means the ability to move from one place to another. That means in locomotion, the position of an organism changes. Whereas when we talk about movement, it is an act of moving. That means in movement, only a body part moves. Now let us see how do organisms like earthworm, snail and cockroaches move. Have you ever thought how do they move? Now let's see. First of all, children, let us talk about earthworm. As you already know, earthworm is said to be farmer's friend, and you have already studied about vermicomposting. And now we are going to see how does an earthworm moves. Now when we talk about earthworm, earthworms have a hydrostatic skeleton. And most important thing, in earthworm, the body is divided into segments, and this process is known as metamerism. That means the body is having definite segments and the body is filled with a liquid. Now, on the ventral side of the earthworm, each segment is having 4 pairs of setae. And remember, each segment of the body has its own muscles. In an earthworm, longitudinal and circular muscles of the body wall helps in the movement in case of an earthworm. Beside this, earthworm also have hair-like structure. These hair-like structures are called bristles, and these bristles are present under the body, and these bristles give a firm grip to the earthworm. And in case of earthworm, the movement is brought about when there occur the contraction and relaxation of the circular and longitudinal muscles. Children, you already know when we talk about contraction, we mean that the muscle become short and thick. And when we talk about relaxation, muscles become long and thin. So in earthworm, these circular and longitudinal muscles, they move antagonistically. Now what I mean by antagonistically is that they move in opposite direction. For example, if circular muscles are contracting, then longitudinal muscles will be relaxing. And if longitudinal muscles are relaxing, circular muscles would be contracting. So in earthworm, due to this alternate contraction and relaxation, movement occur. Now let us see in our next slide, how does the movement take place in case of snails? I hope you all must have seen a snail. If you look at it, a snail has a shell, that is the bony covering, and the tentacles, and then it has a muscular foot. And in case of snail, the movement takes place with the help of the muscular foot, which is present under the shell. Now let us see how does movement takes place in cockroach. Now children, you all have seen a cockroach. You all might be afraid of cockroach also. And as such, a cockroach is an insect. And cockroach has muscles which are attached to 3 pairs of legs and 2 pairs of wings. So when we talk about cockroach, cockroach have 3 pairs of legs and they have 2 pairs of wings. The muscles which are attached to these legs and these wings help in the movement in case of cockroach. Bones are not found in the body of cockroach and the body is covered with a hard outer skeleton. Muscles which are present near the legs, they help in walking, whereas the muscles which are present or are attached to the wings help in flying in case of a cockroach. Now let us see how does movement takes place in case of a frog. Now children, you know that frog is an amphibian. And what do we mean by amphibian? Yes, an amphibian is an animal that can live both on land and in water. Right. So when it is there on the land, movement is brought about by means of limbs. And when I talk about limbs, I mean the hind limbs. And these hind limbs, they are provided with webbed feet or the jointed feet. And this webbed feet help this toad or a frog to move. Now let us see how do snakes move. You all know that snakes, they slither on the ground. And how do they slither? They slither by forming loops. As you can see in the picture, they form a curved loop and sideways, and this helps them in pushing forward. Now when we talk about snakes, they have a long backbone and a large number of thin muscles, and the muscles are connected to each other. The backbone, ribs and skin are also connected to the muscles. And here the movement takes place by means of crawling or slithering. Now, during locomotion, snakes make many loops at the side. Now, the forward or thrust of the loop against the ground helps in the forward movement of the snake. Remember one thing children, snake never move in a straight line. As you can see this picture also, they always move by forming loops sideways. Now let us see how does movement takes place in case of a fish. As you all know children, fish are vertebrate. That means, what do you mean by that? Yes, they have a backbone like us. And these fish, they live in fresh water as well as in sea water. Now firstly, when we talk about the body of the fish, you all know that the fish, they have a streamlined body. That is, the body which is pointed at both the ends and it is broad in the middle. Now, then the fish, they also have fins which help them to move forward. When we talk about the tail, then they have a caudal fin which helps in the movement. Now, let us see how does the movement takes place in case of birds. Birds, you all know that birds are also vertebrate. They fly in air. First of all, we'll talk about what are the adaptations which help these birds to fly in air. Firstly, if they want to fly, the body should be light in weight. And this is brought about by means of hollow bones. That means the bones are hollow from inside. Such type of bones are known as pneumatic bones. And what is the advantage of these hollow bones? These hollow bones make their body very light in weight because they have to fly against the gravity. And it is possible only when the body is very light in weight. Now, coming to the shape of the body, they have a streamlined shape, just like fish. Here, this streamlined shape of the birds help them to cut through the air. And then let us see what are the wings. Yes, here the forelimbs of the birds are modified into wings. And then they have short tail, and then they have feathers. With the help of these adaptations, birds can easily fly in the air. But we have some birds also which we call aquatic birds or water birds which do not fly. So how do they move then? Yes, so those birds like swan, geese and ducks or the water birds, they have webbed feet. Again the jointed feet. With the help of these webbed feet, these birds, they paddle in water. Along with this, they have long and flattened beaks with rounded tips. And beaks are designed in such a way that they can easily pick up their food, such as small insects, fish, and grass. Now children, let us talk about mammals. As you all know that mammals are the organisms who suckle their young ones, who give birth to babies. And most of the mammals, they either walk or run, and for that they have limbs. They have two pair of limbs. The front pair is known as the forelimbs, and the back or the rear pair of limbs is known as the hind limbs. Then they show some special adaptation for movement in their environment. For that, they have wings, or they have flippers, or they have powerful hopping legs. Now, as I already just told you, the front pair of limbs are called forelimbs, and the limbs at the back, they are called hind limbs. When we talk about horses and sheep, they walk on all four limbs. Whereas when we talk about monkeys, kangaroos and human beings, we use our forelimbs or the hands to hold things, and then they stand on their hind limbs. When we talk about human beings use their hind limbs or legs to walk, stand, run or swim. Okay children, now let us study about some fun facts about animal. Now children, do you know that a cheetah can run 76 kilometers per hour, and that is too fast, or you can say the fastest running animal on the earth is cheetah. Now coming to ants, do you know that ants, they never sleep? And cockroach is the fastest animal on six legs, and it covers a meter per second. Grasshopper, they can jump, and they can jump 40 times the length of their body. And do you know that the ants can carry objects which weigh about 100 times more than the weight of their body? And a hippopotamus, it can even run faster than a man. And when we talk about these green, simple worm-like structure which are called caterpillars, these caterpillars, they have 2000 muscles. Do you know how many muscles an average human being has? Average human being has only 700 muscles, whereas in case of a caterpillar, it has 2000 muscles rather. So children, I hope you have enjoyed these fun facts about animal movement, and I hope movement in animals is clear to you. Thank you children.